Wind Talkers Radio. We want to thank Triplevibes for letting us in and share their network, and Code Media Group, Code Mag. You can go to codemag.com and see a lot about us. Let me introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Pizza Frantangelo, and today I'm going to talk about our guest, but today is a special day. It's Veterans Day, and we are acknowledging our veterans and the service they provided to this country, for this country. And today I'm wearing my American flag. I always wear this flag, but today I come from 7 generations of military service, different branches. My nephew is still serving, and as you know, my co-host, Johnny Pizza, is a combat Vietnam War hero veteran. And today's show, we have Gene Lang, who goes back with Johnny, who's also a Purple Heart, Bronze Star, combat Vietnam War veteran, who's going to tell you, all of our viewers, on this Veterans Day, where we acknowledge and celebrate our veterans for what they've done for this country and all of us as Americans. I can't wait for you and get this show started to hear the commentary here. It's just going to be amazing because these are our veterans. And today we celebrate them. So to my veterans here, my co-host and our special guest, I want to thank them for their service to this nation. As you can see, our decorated co-host and our other decorated special guest. You know, when we look at the decorations, the struggles that they went through to get that, that's the acknowledgement of we the people giving them that. And I want you to know about these two guys they're not about the medals. And I encourage them to show them who you are, because I'm proud of my family and my extended family, and I want you to know about these Vietnam veterans, because this is Veterans Day, and this group of veterans suffered a lot of tyranny from the people here when they came home. The first wave didn't get too much, they got praise, but after that, they got ridiculed, spit at, demeaned, and the worst things that you could imagine, and it took 20 years to give the same acknowledgement, just the fact that they're veterans. Forget the war that they fought. They're veterans, and they fought a war, and they're entitled to be celebrated when they come home. This group of veterans didn't get that. So I'm DARREN AQUINO, the National Chief Advocate for Disabled Veterans, Police, Firemen, and Families, and my job here, I'm also dearly called the Cricket, like Johnny Pizza calls me. So now we're going to begin the show, and I want to introduce Johnny, and this is also, well, we want to talk about the great story, The Last Goodbye. This Code Wind Talkers being about veterans, we want to tell you about this book, The Last Goodbye. Johnny shares his story in here and the loss of his cousin and bringing home the body to the rest of his aunts and uncles and other cousins. And he was injured as well. He was wounded. I said at the beginning, a combat veteran. So that being said, and the stories being told, today you're going to hear some more real-life stories. I have to do the promo at the beginning to talk about that because I'm just as anxious as you. So call a friend or tune somebody in, because you don't want to miss this Veterans Tribute to our heroes of yesterday, who have some have forgotten. But here at Code Wind Talkers, we don't forget any veterans. And we'd like to thank Carl Van Nivius III, who helped put this together, one of our executive producers, and again, Triplevibes, and here we go. And to my wonderful co-host, Johnny Pizza, please tell us a little something, and as you introduce Gene Lang, tell us a little about.
Hey everybody out there, just want to wish all the veterans a great Veterans Day, and God bless you all. Just time to honor the Purple Heart veterans by wearing purple today. I thought it would be a nice gesture. Anyway, without further ado, I want to get into my friend Gene, because he has a great story to tell all you people, and I want you all to hear it. So Gene, please, do your thing, man.
Okay, I'd like to also wish all the veterans a happy Veterans Day. Enjoy. My life begins back in Europe. I am the second generation of Holocaust survivors. My mother was in a concentration camp, and my father was in slave labor. During 1945, when the war over, my mother came home, she wanted children, and my father also, he was released from the slave labor camp. Unfortunately, the Germans were not that generous. I did a lot of research on my family, and once I got down to the 3-year-olds, I just had to stop. Also, the Hungarians weren't that generous either, because they also murdered 2 of my uncles. They burnt them alive. I was born in 1947 in a little town called AQUINO. We had horses, cows, and things like that. My father and my mother,
And what part of Europe was that?
Hungary.
Hungary.
Okay, right. And my mother wanted children, even though she was not in the best of health. But she had myself and my brother. I was born in 47, my brother was born in 1948.
You had 2 siblings?
Just myself and my brother,
2 siblings, okay.
2 siblings. We lived on the farm for a long time until school started. We moved into the city. From the city, we lived in this place called DARREN in Hungary. And we would go visiting my father's brother in Budapest. When I was 6 years old, we went to visit, we invaded before that too, but when I was 6 years old, I got up in the morning, my brother and I both got up in the morning, tried to wake our mother, and she has passed away during the night. And they said being in a concentration camp did a lot to her. So she was not in the best of health, but life goes on. My father, a year later, he married my stepmother. We lived again back in Europe. We shared an apartment with another couple. Our kitchen, believe it or not, was part of the bathroom. Thank God the commode was not in there. But we did have a bathtub in there.
So you were born in Hungary?
Yes, I was. I was born in Hungary. And everything was going smoothly until 1956. 1956, things got really bad. The Hungarians wanted the Russians out, to get out. The Russians said, we're not leaving. And what they did was make sure we had no food, we had nothing. My stepmother and my father would get online like 3 o'clock in the morning, try to get food, and sometimes you were just not lucky. So what happened was, my father's brother or uncle, he had a contact. He was able to get meat, beef for us. Now we needed runners, so who became the runners? My brother and I. Now by this time I was already 9 years old, he was 8. What they did is they took our book bags, took the books out of them, put the meat on the bottom, wrapped it up. Now keep in mind, 1956, we didn't have cellophane or anything like that.
Yeah.
And the books were put on top, and we're told where to go. And they said, if we're stopped by the Russians, you tell them that you're going to study with friends. But keep in mind, every block there was a Russian tank. Every block there was the Russians with AK-47s, and they were all submachine guns from World War II. We were lucky. We were never stopped. But things got really bad. At that point, my father and my stepmother decided it was time for us to leave. And believe it or not, we hired a taxi to take us to a border town. Along the way, about every mile or so, we were stopped. And there'd be a tank there, you see the cannon just coming around, right, pointing right at the tank, and you see the guys with their AK-47 pointing at the taxi. And they searched and everything else, and they said, go on. Like I said, every couple of miles we were stopped. We got to a safe house. We stayed there during the nighttime, till the night. My father made his connections, and my father had to pay these people off. They didn't do this out of the kindness of their heart. And they took us through the back alleys. Now keep in mind, you're 9 years old, my brother was 8. Not the best, but anyhow, as you're going through the back alleys, different places, he'd make a whistle, another guy would make a whistle, and they'd pass us on to him. Until we finally got to the fields. Now, the guy told us that day the Russians already laid out their landmines. Okay? They weren't that generous. They weren't building walls. They put out their landmines. And he said, look, if you see a flare go up, you hit the ground. Your machine gun go off, well, hopefully you don't get hit, you hit the ground. So he took us all the way to the point where there was an Austrian flag in the border. And he said he could not go beyond that, but he said, keep going in the woods, stay in the woods for about another half an hour, then swing to your left, and you're going to see a light. Head for the light. So we kept going, and once we got to the light, it was a police station there, and we asked for political asylum. Now, what they were doing is they were taking all the Hungarians, and they were putting them in a gymnasium. Turns out my father's niece was there with her husband and their 2 kids.
You were seeking asylum to America at this point?
Yes, we were seeking asylum to America.
Okay.
And she was there with her husband and their 2 kids. So what they did is, they said, all right, well, once we get enough people to put a train together for us, and we would travel all the way to Augsburg, I think. I don't want to mix it up because I was also stationed in Germany too, so, but I believe it was there. And, you know, the train would stop during the daytime, and they feed us, and during the nighttime, the Austrians would put us up. And they told us, whatever you do, don't tell them that you're Jewish. Keep in mind, this is shortly after the war. So they put us up. Following day, we kept going, and
But it was still hostile, right? Because you're saying there's tanks, pointed guns, and you had to go, so here you had the Russian soldiers. There was some kind of hostility still going on down there, right?
in Budapest, firefights are going on. Hungary, firefights. Matter of fact, when I was in Europe, I'm stepping back a little bit now. When we were in Europe, we raided a prison camp. Now, keep in mind, again, I'm still 9 years old. They opened the gates for us. And on the gates to the left side, I still remember to this day, there were the gallows. And with the ropes hanging over. And they let us walk to the prison to show us that there were no political prisoners. So,
Wow. So this is like, these stories, just for the new listeners, because as we get in and people are coming on, we're here with Gene Lang, and he's our special guest today. He is a combat Vietnam veteran who grew up in Hungary and became an American citizen and a war hero. For here, all of you Americans celebrating this Veterans Day, we are Code Wind Talkers coming to you live on Triplevibes Radio, and our special guest is giving you the history of what we know as he was part of the Holocaust, and that went down in our history as one of the greatest tragedies in the world, and Gene is sharing that story. So for those of you listening, I'm going to let him continue, but I want to just let you know for you newcomers where we are and what we're talking about. Gene, please continue.
Okay, so anyhow, with all of this going on, that's when my family decided that it was time for us to leave. And in Austria, we went from one end of Austria to the other end. And then what happened was, believe it or not, it was old World War II barracks with the American Army. I think it was the 3rd Army, something like that. First time I have ever seen a U.S., because the beds had the blankets from the Americans, you know, like we had in basic training.
Right,
like that.
I've seen the Army blankets, yes. They say just us.
Right. So they told us that it'd be a year's wait before we could come to America.
A year?
And so my father, 1 year's wait. But my father said, but I have a sister in America. And she came to America in 1922.
Oh, okay.
My grandfather died in 1922. My grandparents had 11 kids. She was the oldest. Somebody had to come to America to help feed the other kids back there. So they said, oh, you got a sister in America? I said, yes. 2 weeks later, they banged on our door, get packed, and get on a plane, and you're going to America. So we quick run around, say goodbye. Oh, we're also running to my father's other niece, the two sisters. So they are no longer coming to America, they're going to Canada, and that's where they went. I believe they stayed in Austria for about a year. So
They stayed a year behind you, they had to wait another year behind you?
Right, they did. But we only stayed there for 2 weeks, that's it.
2 weeks on your way to America.
On our way to America, we flew in to New Jersey, Camp Kilmer. Okay?
You went on a military aircraft?
You know what? I believe it was a leased aircraft, his
Okay.
propeller,
Okay.
but we landed at Camp Kilmer. And over there, we were interviewed again. We had to get our green cards. And again, my father said, you know, we need political asylum. Obviously, we got it because my aunt promised that we would never be a burden. Nobody would have to support us. She would take care of us. She would do everything. As a matter of fact, we stayed at Camp Kilmer. From Camp Kilmer, they drove us on a bus to New York City.
Wow.
In New York City, my father immediately recognized the sister.
And he had
You know,
to see her for how long? When was the last time he saw his sister?
1922. That's the last time we saw his sister, and that's 1956, November.
Well, that's the year my brother was born, 56. And I, you know, these stories intrigue me and our audience, I'm sure, because, you know, these are the things that we hear about, or we saw TV shows, or old war pictures where they have the gallows and the horror stories that you're telling us. You actually were there. You grew up with this. You've seen it firsthand. Wow. That's incredible. And then, you know, that's an amazing story. And as you came here, when you got here, and you met your aunt, you're like 9 years old still, right? Because it only took you 2 weeks.
Yeah, and keep in mind, that was exactly 64 years ago, November 1956.
Wow. November 56. My brother was born in June of 56. You know, and that's like, I mean, I can't fathom what you went into. I mean, you know, the only thing I can relate this to is what we all see on television, because you guys are older than me, of course. You know, Johnny grew up in the 50s, and you as well. You know, I grew up in the 60s, and I heard the stories of my brothers, my uncles, my cousin. My cousin is a veteran. Again, as we're talking here, you're live with Code Wind Talkers. It's Veterans Day, and you're hearing the story of Gene Lang, a combat Vietnam War veteran who became an American patriot, and my co-host, Johnny Pizza Frantangelo. As you can see, a decorated, like I said, they're decorated men who served this country. I like to call those men and women. Today we have a lot of women in the military, and we want to acknowledge them as well, because that came a long way. And as we share the stories of these heroic men back from the Vietnam era in our history on this Veterans Day, it's just an honor for me to be part of the stories and have such a close connection, because I'm close to Johnny anyway, because he's my extended family now, and he promised at the last show you heard that somebody else got waffles and I only got pancakes. I will get those waffles. I'm counting on it. He will make me waffles. And this is the book, The Last Goodbye, and it shares stories and photos that are incredible. If you look on the back and you look at Johnny's photo, I mean, these guys, I could just imagine him and Gene, all those muscles, things going on. They look like the Lou Ferrigno and the Arnold Schwarzeneggers of America. And let me tell you, the things that they did for this country is they defended its honor. Some said later that we shouldn't have been there. That's probably true. I was just a tot then, so I didn't understand politics like I do today. But what I understand is this. they're American war heroes, and they were pushed aside. Me and our great co-host, Johnny Pizza, and Gene will share as well, you don't forget these men, okay? Because freedom was not free. Somebody paid for it, and we owe a debt we cannot pay. And today I wore my red hanky to remind everybody out there, to the viewer and the audience, and to all you veterans, because I come from 7 generations, 3 different branches of service, that this was for the shed blood that they gave for all of us. And this flag symbolizes our freedom, and this is another reminder that I wear it around my neck. I embrace myself with the freedoms we share, that these 2 men, 2 of many, that made sure that we have the freedom of this opportunity to share these stories. So we're going to go now. I want to ask Gene, and and then we're going to talk more about Johnny's book and some of the things. Johnny's going to tell us another story that's not in the book, because we're going to pry that out of him, because we want him to share these stories, and we're going to pry some out of Gene right now, and he's going to tell us, now that he's in America and how he grew up a little bit more, what was it like for you now, Gene? You're in America, you're in the land of the free, and did you even know what that meant at 9 years old?
No. As a matter of fact, I didn't even speak. I'm getting your feedback. I didn't even speak a word of English. In 1956, there were no ESL teachers. They didn't even know what to do with us.
You didn't speak English?
No, not a word.
Really? You've got such a great spoken English now. Great, wow.
It took 64 years.
Okay, you had practice. It would be fair to say you had a reasonable amount of practice.
No, what they did is they put us in the back of the classroom. My brother, he was a year behind me, and they gave us coloring books. That's what we did all day long, color. So I got smart. If they said B-L-A-C-K, I found a crayon that said B-L-A-C-K, and the teacher would go, how did you get all your colors right? And then she watched for a while. You know what she did? She took the paper off the crayons. Now go figure it out. None of my colors weren't so great.
That sounds mean. That's mean.
I would say so. And then we obviously I stayed in the back of the class, and gradually picked up the language, because there was nobody to help you. And to this day, there's one thing I will never forget for the rest of my life. We were with a bunch of kids, and my brother and I were invited to a party. So I said to the boys, and I said, I have to go home and put on a dress. Not that I'm going home and get dressed. Put on a dress.
Put on a dress. Okay, that must have been confusing to everyone.
Oh, they laughed at me.
Wow, and this is doing you're learning English, but I just admire how I'm dyslexic, so that makes a little sense to me. What you did, what they did to you was discrimination, and I suffered that too. But how you match things up is one of the struggles I had in Catholic school here, and Johnny knows. The nuns didn't embrace you. If you didn't do what they said, you either saw the corner or the end of the yardstick, right, John?
Yeah. Wow.
Get in the corner.
School. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I went, so when you said that touched a little bit with me, and that was in the 60s, early 60s, in first grade in kindergarten. I was dyslexic, and I didn't know. Things didn't make sense. I could absorb everything, but it's mixed up. 2 sides of my brain are working against each other. But when you said that you went to go put on a dress.
Well, fine.
It's a
knowledge of the language. I mean,
Well, it's a place to start, right? But you didn't, tell us though, you didn't go home and put on a dress.
no, I did not. I
Okay.
tried it when I got drafted, but it didn't work.
A little match, you did a little match on him, huh? I don't even think MASH was on yet. No, it wasn't. It was one of the longest running shows, but that was what's his name? He did that with the dress.
Oh, Flip Wilson.
No, the other guy on MASH. What's his name?
Oh yeah. Jamie Farr was, yeah.
Jamie Farr.
Yeah.
He was like, he tried to get out even while he was there, putting on the dress, the high heels. And tell us, so now you're sped up. Say again?
I was only kidding about the dress.
Okay, he's only kidding. I don't believe him.
Say it, but like I said, I had a limited knowledge of the language.
Wow, but you know.
Gradually, I went through elementary school. Oh, and first of all, my father, we came here, we stayed with my aunt in the Bronx. Her son,
This guy.
another son, her son lived in one of the rooms. His name was Nick, and he was asked to stay with his friends, and we took over the room. And my father needed a job because nobody was going to give us any money. So he and his brother-in-law went down to see then Mayor Wagner.
Mayor Wagner, yeah, wow, back, yeah, we have Wagner High School.
Right.
Yeah.
And
How old were you at this? How old were you at this time?
I'm still 9 years old.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't hit 10 until I was in January.
Okay. Okay.
January.
Wow.
So
A lot of drama for you at 9 years old, coming here with school discrimination and just trying to have a life. You are one of America's greatest stories of you know, we are a country of immigrants, and you're the immigrant that deserves the praise and the honor and the integrity from your service to this country. And you know, there's a lot of controversy here about our veterans and you know, how we make up this country, but you're one who supported. You are what the forefathers talked about and what we are all about. And like, I'm Italian and Puerto Rican, my family were immigrants, and they came and built a life here, but contributed to America. And like you, and like Johnny's family, you know, I was privileged by growing up here because of the freedom my grandparents were seeking. And, you know, I inherited that. And, you know, our Constitution talks about the inherent right. And, you know, you guys, and this is why me and Johnny, we love this show, and we talk about The Last Goodbye, because The Last Goodbye is about Johnny as a boy, and you were boys, okay, technically. You were boys. You were still teenagers fighting a war against a foreign enemy, and so many of you died at 19 years old defending this country. And the thing that ticks me off is when you forget any veteran. That's a problem for me, coming from that long line. So I want to say on this Veterans Day, we're Code Wind Talkers on Triplevibes Radio. We want to thank also, you know, we're going to continue on, but we want to mention, for those of you that want to go into the book, you can go to triplevibes.com, you can go to codenycmag.com, and you can see the trailer. I'm reading from my notes, folks. As I get used to this, everything's going to be on top, so I'll be doing things for Johnny Pizza and all of our guests. So it's important you can see, you're going to be able to see today's in detail, the whole full length of today's video. You're going to hear Gene's interesting story as a child, and then we're going to get into now when, you know, a little more, he's going to grow up some more and tell you the horrors, and then the horrors of war and the challenges after war. And that's why I'm proud to come to you today on Code Wind Talkers with Johnny Frantangelo, Johnny Pizza, dearly called, and Gene Lang, another combat Vietnam War veteran who has been awarded. And Johnny Pizza is wearing the purple shirt for the Purple Heart. He's also a Purple Heart and Silver Star. Johnny has the purple, Gene has the Purple Heart and the bronze. And we're going to go more about that story. But now as we continue with the story, he came through the Holocaust, everybody. And, you know, I wasn't born yet. Some of you folks out there can relate, or maybe your grandparents. You may want to get them and tell them to come on in and listen, because this is a story that we only see on television Here you have a survivor, a true family member whose family died and was challenged with the horrors that we faced in this world and around the globe. And America played a large role with our military men and women, and here they are. And again, on this Veterans Day, thank you to all the men and now the tremendous numbers of women, mothers who come and serve in the reserves. We want to thank you. I thank you. My family thanks you. And our veterans also. And I wear the flag because I salute you with this flag. This flag ties for all of you veterans today. And this is an acknowledgement for those who shed their blood, who made the full measure of dedication to this country. And they seemingly, they're forgotten. And, you know, to go and just lay a wreath or to drop a flower, those are wonderful things. But through every day throughout the year, we should never, ever forget, because we have enemies every day, everywhere. And there's some man or woman guarding the outskirts of America to keep all of us safe. And I'm always grateful to them. And Gene, back to your story.
Okay, so anyhow, elementary, it was PS 75 in the Bronx.
PS 75, okay.
Okay, that was, I believe, and 2 years there. From there, I went to junior high school 123, where I was put in the slower classes. I wonder why, because the limited knowledge of English, but I was in the slower classes. But I did manage to get through. I did excel in mathematics, because 2 plus 2 in Hungary is still the same as 2 plus 2 in America, 4. So I went through that. I did my 3 years in middle school. From there, my father wanted me to learn a trade. So I went to Bronx Vocational High School, and I did learn the electrical trades. And that was 3 years. I did that. From there, I went to college. I went to Bronx Community College.
Bronx Community, yeah, sure.
Yes, and well, when I actually, a step before that, when I was 16, I had to have major surgery. I had to have my left ear completely rebuilt. And also, I wound up with a hole in my skull. So what happened was,
At school?
I went to West, 16 years old. I had surgery done. So when I went to the college, I was going to study electrical engineering. Of course, I didn't know that was way above me. I had trouble with electrical drafting. So, you know, they called me aside and they said, you know, if you're not going to be careful, you're going to lose your matriculation and you're going to get drafted. But I can't. The doctors told me I'll never be drafted. Not with my left ear completely rebuilt and a hole in my skull. So I fooled around. I lost my matriculation. So for a while, everything was fine. I got a job working for New York Telephone. This was back in 1967, January. And I worked on central offices. Everything was fine. I would go down to Whitehall Street. They had medical records on me like this.
Okay.
Come back here one more time, you'll be 4F. Well, I went back there one more time, my medical records were like this. I said, well,
That's all too familiar for me too, Gene.
Yeah.
So your medical disappeared and then you're drafted. We are moving in some time frame here, so I wanna get to some of those. And then we got your medical, and then obviously we went from here to, great job guys, looking good. Okay, we went from this medical that says he's 4F, he's good, he's medically out, and then I said, wait a second, we need some men and women, shrink that. And you became part of the shrinkage, and then you got drafted, it's fair to say, right? You were drafted.
Right, I was drafted. I went to Fort Jackson, just like John did, and I was there for 2 months. I had a little problem. I lost a lot of weight. I went down to 100 pounds. But I got through that. 100 pounds, Fort Jackson. I did my 2 months. I graduated.
I want to say something there. Johnny didn't go down to 100 pounds. Did you see the size of Johnny over there? He was huge. He was big. He was like this over there. I don't know what happened. You know, that's incredible. So you get drafted. You're doing your thing there, and are you still 100 pounds when you're shipped out?
No, I went to Fort Dix after that.
Fort Dix.
Fort Dix, they train you to fight either the Russians in Germany or in Korea. I was trained on an 81 millimeter mortar, Colt 45 pistol, M79 grenade launcher, a couple of machine guns, and after that, guess where I went? Germany.
Germany, you're back to where you fled from, pretty much.
Right.
Your last, your last place where you
Right.
checked out to come to America.
Right. So I went to Germany. I was only stationed there for a short time. I was with the 24th Division Armor. And what comes around in 1968 is the Teta 68. They needed infantry, and I was infantry. John, you were infantry. I was infantry. We got orders to go to Vietnam. A week before I leave, who shows up in Germany but my brother?
Really?
We got it. Yeah, he said, we got to get together. I said, I don't have the time. I have to leave. So I packed up, all of us did. My buddy Hicks, who I met, and we all packed up. He lived in Virginia. I lived in New York City. Spent 2 weeks at home. From there, I went to Seattle, Washington, Fort, what was the name of the fort in Washington. But anyhow, over there I was introduced to the M16. I've never seen an M16 before in my life.
Yeah, I think that's when it just came out, right? I think that's
No,
when
they've
they
had it
created
before.
that. Did they?
Trained on 14.
Oh, okay.
And living around in Germany, we still had the Thompson submachine guns.
Yeah, that was a good gun. That was the knockdown gun. And then they used that M1, right? The sniper rifle.
Carried a 45, same slot.
Yeah, that's right, same bullet.
Right.
Same bullet.
So here, it was a quick trip. It was Fort Lewis, right? Fort Lewis, Seattle, Washington. And from there, I was sent to Vietnam, March 30th, 1968. You get on the plane, going to Vietnam. We land in Cam Ranh Bay, April Fool's Day, 12:30 in the morning. From there, I was there for 2 days. When I was assigned to the 1st Air Cavalry Division, up in Ankei. We went up there, and we had to be issued on M16s, but the 1st Air Cav was helicopters. So I had to learn how to rappel out of a helicopter. So
Is that what the rope and do that? Like you slide down the rope stuff?
At that time, no. We had to climb up a tower, a 40-foot tower, a 30-foot tower, low ladders, swinging in the air.
Right.
And you had a belt made out of rope around your waist and a buckle. And what you did is you held one part up here and one part behind you.
Right, and it slips.
And you got control. And you stepped off the tower. There was a landing that you could stand on, the skates of the helicopter. So they said, okay, and you jump back and you load yourself down.
So when, as we're ending toward,
training to help
about 12 minutes left.
There, we got our Operation Pegasus. We were involved in Operation Pegasus.
Tell us about Operation Pegasus. Is that where you got wounded?
Yes. Operation Pegasus is when the 1st Air Cav went up to Khe Sanh.
Okay.
In Khe Sanh, we operated all around the general area outside, and over there we had a lot of firefights. And to this day, I say there was Chinese there. People tell me, no, you're crazy. I don't think so. because they take their dead away, and I never forget, we check what's going on, and these two guys were a lot taller than the North Vietnamese. They didn't look like the North Vietnamese or anything like that. But there was one guy there, I guess he couldn't make it, he was shot through the buttocks. So he was alive, and he spoke better English than I did. And he's cursing at us and everything else. So somebody didn't like it, kicked his legs out from under him, sat down on his buttocks.
So let me ask you a question, Gene. So in this this battle, because time is gone, and I want to get to a story with Johnny. What was your role in this Pegasus, and how did you how did you take fire?
Okay. From there, I went to LZ Snapper. LZ Snapper was southwest of Quezon. We were averaging about 100 plus incoming artillery rounds a day.
Okay.
Each time you stuck your head up, an incoming artillery round would come in.
So these bullets fly. So you stick your head out of a pit there, and you'd be ducking bullets, pretty much.
So what happened was, since I was fairly new, I already had a month's combat experience. They said, all right, well, you're not going to stay with the mortar, you're going to stay at the bottom of the hill, help out the line platoons. So they shoot me 1,000 rounds from my 16, we all had a box of hand grenades and everything else, and they decided, all right, we're going to set up a second 81. So they had me go up the hill, it took me an hour and a half to go maybe 200 meters. I get up there, here comes a round, sure enough, I get hit. I get hit in the leg. And I'm going to make it real quick now, okay? And from there, I'm flown by helicopter to Dong Ha. In Dong Ha, there was a doctor there because the cab was moving. So he goes to me, how well could you take pain? And meanwhile, he's digging into my leg. And he's
I heard of that Dong Ha from other veterans. I heard of that place.
digging out this piece of shrapnel. You need to take all of it.
Can we see that? Could bring that in front of the camera a little more.
I'm not going to take it out of the bag because
No,
it's been in the bag since 1968. It's very small, but they didn't take everything out of me.
So you have some left inside you from the attempt to kill you while you were taking gunfire.
Right.
Yeah, I
So
wanted to tell everybody about that interesting, that what you saw, everybody, is the actual shrapnel from the enemy, from the Vietnamese, the Viet Cong.
That was the shrapnel from the enemy. And needless to say, they didn't take everything out because it took 50 years for a piece of it to work its way under my kneecap. So I have a little issue walking. But anyhow, the doctor pulled it out and he walks away. I said, excuse me, but I got a hole in my leg this big, okay? Oh, somebody better wrap him up. I said, okay. I said, all right, send him back to the field.
What?
Go back. And I said, wait a minute, I'm oozing pus. No antibiotics, no stitches. Medic patch, did goes around my leg 3 or 4 times a day.
Geez, even in MASH, they showed them giving antibiotics, stitching up the wound. So I guess they were lying in MASH.
Yeah.
I would say it was great fabrication. Well, I tell you, Gene, I wanna get to a little bit to Johnny's story today, because a lot of people, that's been a fabulous. We got to have you back again and tell some more about that, because you share these stories with Johnny. Again, the last goodbye, Johnny Fratangelo. Today we're celebrating Veterans Day, and you're finally going to hear from our host again, Johnny, and he's going to tell you another story that he didn't tell in the book that's really important. Some of his experience. As you know, he is a wounded also veteran with a disability. Gene is 100% disabled, and justifiably so. These are men, as I'm looking at the last goodbye, that took fire, that went right head on with the enemy. And Johnny tells his story, and it's just so incredible. I mean, you're talking 19-year-old boys fighting up against the Viet Cong, as they were called, right up front, close and personal. You saw the shrapnel, and Johnny's going to tell us a story because I know we're pressed. We got about 6 minutes, Johnny. Tell us that one of your great stories.
But I want to get back to something that relates to Gene, with my grandmother who come from Europe, from Italy.
Okay.
And the grandmother that had the 21 children. All right. She lived with us in the Bronx, and she was in Europe during the war with the bombings. Right? So every time it would thunder, we'd have a bad thunderstorm. She'd go up as fast as she could, go up those steps and lock herself in the bedroom and just sit there on the bed till that thunderstorm blew over, because it reminded her of the bombing that she witnessed in Europe, And to get back to Gene with the language, about the dress, a dress, I'm going to, okay. Like I said, she spoke broken English. So one day I was working out down in the basement, and we had just painted. So it's naturally the fumes of the paint rise through the house and everything, right? So you might not think this is funny, but it was cute at the time. But yeah, because you didn't know my grandmother. She spoke broken English. And she yells down to me. First of all, they didn't like me working out because they always thought I looked like a freak and all this stuff, right? So she yells down to me. She says, Johnny, you hear the smell?
So, you hear the smell?
That's get back to the Gene, the way they mix words, because they, the language stuff, But anyway, to get back to like the Vietnam thing, the injuries, like Gina could probably tell you the same thing. They follow you through your whole life. Okay, right. That's when I was injured in '67. So back in 1975. Okay, if you read the book, you know that I had very bad staph infection.
Oh God, yeah. That's why we wanted to let the audience know, because then I'm going to tell them about the video that is connected to the story he's telling now. If you go to codemag.com, you're going to see The Last Goodbye, and there's a video where Johnny Pizza tells you the details of the men that he went in to rescue. I believe he should receive, and some of his comrades, his fellow veterans, you heard from Gene. This book is going to be a mini-series, and we're working on that right now. And Johnny's story, this is very important, folks. You got to go to Code Magazine. Triplevibes is going to show you, but you go to codemag.com, and you're going to see the incredible trailer of what's going to be part of a mini-series of Johnny's story. That's why I urge all of you to get this book, and you could go to, Johnny, what's the address we have for the magazine, for the book?
Yeah, we got The Last Goodbye -book.com.
The Last Goodbye
-book.com.
And you're going to get this book. You're going to see what you're going to see with your eyes. Here's the difference with this book, folks. There's no fiction to this book. It's all true. The people that coming on this show, and next week we're going to have Dr. Mike, as we endearingly call him, who's going to talk about the veterans and the challenges that they face afterwards. Some like Gene and John, you don't notice any PTSD, but PTSD is a big deal. Men and women are dying from it because there has been, during past administrations, a systemic neglect to the needs of our veterans. And this is one of the passions in my show as the National Chief Advocate for Disabled for more than 3 decades. As you can see behind me, these recognitions from 3 past presidents, including our current president, who's a big supporter of our veterans. This is important. This show is important. Johnny's story, because we talked a lot about Gene, Johnny's story, where he is, what he done, where he is today, how he cares about the veterans. We want this story in everybody's household. We want it there because it also supports veterans, okay, disabled veterans. Johnny has pledged himself, and Gene too. They're part of the community of the service and now servicemen and women who tell stories that are fact. And
let me just say something before I finish what I was saying. I just want people to know that Gene almost single-handedly went to 36 counties between Putnam and Westchester and had them claimed to be Purple Heart counties, and that's an accomplishment.
Okay, that's right. So the veterans,
God bless you, buddy. All right, I really admire you for that. Okay.
So all you veterans out there and other Purple Heart recipients, again, we all, even, these are brothers, my family, 7 generations. To the Colonel, Joseph Scott, we love you. To my nephew, Anthony Sferrazzo, Lieutenant Colonel, serving now. He just got transferred to NATO, did 10 tours in Afghanistan and Iraq, and one of those little helicopters that the things go like that. And they, one of those new things. And, everything is in the last goodbye about Vietnam and Johnny. But there's going to be more. The trailer at Code Mag, you're going to scroll down, you're going to see on Code Mag, you're going to see Triplevibes, you're going to see John Fratangelo, you're going to see this book. You want this book because you want your children to read it. If you're a recent veteran from the War on Terror, you want to know because, and listen, you can always contact Advocates for Disabled at www.adaadvocates.com. We've had many conversations with veterans who were feeling desperate. Everything is confidential because I'm the advocate and I'm very staunch on preserving your privacy right. But I'm very staunch on my support for your service and whatever it takes to help you get to the next level or next step. We're here for that. This show is about that. That's why we decided to do Code Wind Talkers. Code Magazine and its group and Triplevibes Radio are about veterans and the service to this country. Carvin Nivius III is the executive producer with us. We joined together as Americans on this day with Code Wind Talkers to talk to our veterans on this Veterans Day, to acknowledge them, their service and love for this country. We are in a very challenging time right now, but we have to stand firm on our beliefs as Americans. And the folks that did that are these veterans right here that you're looking at, right here. These are the guys that fought after World War II, and then we had Vietnam, and then you had Korean War. Whenever we're in a fight, Americans don't run. It's like this flag. You see these colors? They don't run, and neither do we. And that's what American spirit is, our patriotism. And I'm just so proud today to always sit next to Johnny. And now we have a new friend, and Gene. We'll have Gene back again because this is what we're about. It's this Code Wind Talkers is going to have some guests coming on in the future. Advocates for Disabled fights the civil rights of people with disabilities. And a lot of those folks are veterans. We just got my uncle home, who's here, and Johnny knows he was held captive in a nursing home against his will just so they could steal his benefit for 3 years. And finally we got him home, and he was denied medical treatment. In the future shows, you're going to hear about that, because that's part of this premise too, and the love that we have for our veterans, the changes that will be made. We're not going to accept no, and we're going to have a hot seat on this show in our future shows, and we're going to bring on people that may be elected folks or folks responsible for the treatment of our veterans who come home somewhat affected. I don't want to say broken. I don't want to say that word, because any man that goes off to fight for this country, there's nothing broken about that person or woman today. There's nothing broken about them. They're courageous men and women who deserve honor, integrity, and they have honor, okay? We must preserve their integrity by supporting them and not demeaning them and undermining them, giving them everything they deserve without question. And that's what we're going to do in the future shows. And Johnny, we can wrap this up, and I want to turn it over to you, but I needed to say everything because Carl was calling. And we want to talk about Johnny Pizza, and but I promise you, there you go. We all got the book. So we're going to go to codemag.com, and you're going to see everything. Johnny's there, and the video is there. So go and watch the video, and you're going to see 30 minutes, and you're going to see friends and others come on and share the stories of Johnny. You see those decorations that these men are wearing? Okay, we call them decorations. Those are the scars of war. Okay? They wear them, and proudly they should, because proud of them is what we are as Americans, that they put their life on the line for our freedom. So it's always a privilege to do this new show. We hope you always tune in, and we are looking for sponsors to come in and get behind our veterans, because this show is ultimately going to go from here to there, and we're going to have more veterans, we're going to have doctors, we're going to have celebrities, and we're going to have people come on, because this show is dedicated to veterans, and Johnny's story is the one that opened this door. So the last goodbye at lastgoodbye.book.com, right? Is that right?
The last goodbye dash.
The lastgoodbye-book.com.
They can get it on, they can get it on Amazon too.
And you can get it on Amazon. And, you know, listen, you're seeing us here on Triple Vibe Live. We're going to put this link out again. And look, all you got to do is Google Darren Aquino, and you'll find all that. We are available to you. And if you're a veteran and you have an interesting story to tell, you can contact me at adaadvocates.com. And go there. There's a blog if you want to tell your story and you want to be on with us. We'd love to have you. We'd be proud to have you. And, you know, this is what we're going to do. This is us, you know, and this is Code Wind Talkers coming to you live right now, live streaming. And, Johnny, anything else you want to say? Finish up a little bit on your story before, because I don't see a message coming in. I think we're still live.
Well, I don't know if you had time to finish what I was about to say about the staph infections at the...
Talk about the staph infection before we get the break, and then we'll just go.
Well, back in 1975, you know, this was 12 years after I was wounded. I happened to get a pimple on my knee, and it was itchy, so I scratched it. Next thing I knew, the next day, my leg blew up. They had to cut my pants, rushed me to the hospital, cut my pants off. I developed a relapse of the staph infection, which really, and I was hospitalized for two.
Tell people about staph infection. What is that? Tell people that don't know.
Staphylococcus. It's an infection that most caused from dirt. You know, being in dirty places. You know, germs getting in there, bacteria.
So you're getting treatment, and you got a staph infection from being in a dirty area while you were having medical treatment.
Yeah, most guys who are wounded get it. Okay, because you know it's just happened. But it gets treated intravenously with the antibiotics.
People have died from staph infections here in New York hospitals. You know that, right?
I'm sorry? I didn't hear what you...
You know that people have died. In fact, my cousin, who is about your age, died from a staph infection. He beat 3 rare cancers and died from a staph infection in St. Francis Hospital.
Right.
Go figure. How is that? I can't fathom in a hospital how that happened.
What happened with me is that you know, I got by it in 2 weeks, you know, and I got 2 more occurrences after that. But the 4th one was called osteomyelitis. It developed in my right foot, and that's bad. That eats your bone. You know, so I believe that's what Mickey Mantle had. You know, osteomyelitis. Okay, and that really took very strong antibiotic called vancomycin, which is done intravenously.
Erythromycin.
Yeah, and
yes.
So anyway, they did that for 6-week treatment. I'm making it fast. And they were collapsing my veins all over the place. They were coming to my home and stop me up, put needle here, you know. So finally, the doctor, to make it short, I went to a different doctor in the Bronx. He said, look, let's go in there, see what this is all about, you know. Luckily, I was getting...
So this is after when you're home?
Yeah, this is not... Now I'm talking about 1989 now, okay?
Oh, and this is all related to your service?
Right.
Oh, my God.
And it's documented with the VA, you know.
Oh my gosh.
They didn't give me any more percentage on my disability for it. But anyway, they ended up taking a piece of my bone out of my foot. But it's okay. You know, I'm fine. You know, but it's been 31 years now. But this is what I'm trying to bring. The point I'm trying to bring out that this Vietnam, probably any war, carries with you to the day you die. Okay? If it wasn't that, it's other people dying from the Agent Orange with cancer, heart disease, diabetes. And it's just unbelievable. You know, I already lost 3 of my Vietnam buddies in the last 2 years from Agent Orange.
We got a little time. Tell us about Agent Orange quickly. Tell us about that, Johnny.
All right. Gene, you want to tell about it or you want me to tell about it?
Well, go ahead, John. I mean, I've been exposed to Agent Orange, and I have quite a few medical issues.
That's why I want you to talk about it.
I have 6 stents in my heart. I have, I'm diabetic. I have non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I'm constantly going to doctors, blood
You get
workup.
lymphoma from that as well?
Non-Hodgkin's, yes, from
It's like
Agent
see
Orange.
those TV commercials with lawyers. If you get Hodgkin's lymphoma from something else, Agent Orange exposed you to that as well?
Gene, just not to interrupt you, but the Agent Orange was a chemical that was dumped on
Right.
the jungles of Vietnam to kill the foliage. And we were told that it had no toxic effects on anybody. And the guys like Gene, I personally don't remember being exposed to it, but guys like Gene and other friends of mine had it rain down on them. Okay?
That's like my sister's boyfriend. He died young from it, though. He was like, I don't know, like young, like 35, 30-something years old. And he died, he got like really sick and died like all cancered up. And
that's not the only chemical, okay? There's chemicals that were even worse. It was a purple chemical. I'm telling you, I don't want to get started.
That was to kill like foliage there? Is that what that was for?
Yes, kill the foliage, yeah.
So that's like that Roundup commercial where they say you get the Hodgkin. That's like that Roundup stuff.
Right.
Probably, yeah.
Okay, see, I thought it was that stuff when they were shooting those flamethrowers, that it was something in that. And
No. Rain down from the.
Remember,
from the
like
plane.
you saw some movies, they would fly over and drop some orange stuff.
No.
You know?
Correct.
Right.
Right.
So that chemical gets in your system or into your pores somehow, and then you wind up with this Hodgkin's lymphoma and heart issues, respiratory issues. Okay, now I have a better understanding. I didn't know that.
They figured. Don't get me started on these government. Okay. They said, they ain't gonna know about for 30, 40, 50 years from now. Who's gonna give a damn, right? No. They knew it.
I know about it now. That's why we have cold wind talkers. We're going to be talking about, I'm going to follow up more with this.
Okay, Gene, finish. Okay, Gene, go ahead, finish up.
Go ahead, finish, Gene. So you got the lymphoma.
Yeah, I'm under constant care. I see an oncologist. They do blood workup every 3 months just to see how my platelets are doing. So right now I'm still hanging in there. I have larger lumps in my body. Nothing I could do. As far as my heart is concerned, I got 6 stents in my heart. I never had heart issues before in my life. There's 6
And how
stents in
old are
there.
you now, Gene? How old are you now?
73.
73. So you guys are the same age. I just want to put it out there while you're saying, we have one of the best doctors who's skilled. He's got all 8 board certifications. Our Dr. Mike, we call him. He's our chief medical officer, and he just helped my uncle the other day. He did a video with him so that we could expedite, because Uncle was coughing. Did I tell you he was coughing? I told you, right? So we didn't want to touch the COVID because they didn't do a test with him from the facility when he left. The last time they tested him was August, and they released him October 13th. And the last time they just released him, and the facility was infected. This is the neglect in New York City. Okay, they just released him to me. He could have been infected and infected me. I have underlying conditions from 9/11 because I'm a 9/11 survivor. So I would like you to talk with Dr. Mike if you need anything. He's our chief medical officer, and he called me early this morning. Happy Veterans Day, Chief. We're gonna bring a place down here in Florida, and we're gonna care because we got 1,000 homeless veterans here, and that's why we always want to pay tribute to this book and our veterans. And some of them, there's a straggling few. I know one of the handful of you left. His name is John. here, and he is a Agent Orange survivor. There's only like a handful of you guys left, I understand.
Don't forget, Darren, don't forget to tell, I want to remind the veterans to take advantage of all the free stuff that goes on today on Veterans Day for you guys out there.
Absolutely.
You got a lot of stuff going out there that you don't know about, so.
Yeah, take honor and the people's recognition of your service today. I'm going to take my uncle, Chili's. Let's say kudos to Chili's. Chili says, you're going to come, because he was there the other day. He likes chili hamburgers. He's 77, my uncle, and he likes Chili's hamburger. So we'll give a kudos out to Chili's. He wants to go and have a hamburger there, and they invited him back for a free lunch or dinner. And we want to thank Chili's for acknowledging our veterans, and we want to thank everyone out there who acknowledges veterans today and pays some sort of tribute, whether, okay, we got 15 minutes. We got 15 minutes. So Johnny's going to tell us a little more, and you'll tell us a little more about the Agent Orange. They just sent me a signal, which is good when you're on live radio. So, folks, you got 15 more minutes to learn about The Last Goodbye, Gene Lang, a war hero from Vietnam time, and Johnny Frantangelo, Johnny Pizza. And next show, we promised we were going to have pizza and espresso, but I promised the next show you're going to see us eat pizza and espresso. I had the pizza ready. Let me call the stagehands. Hold here. Stagehands.
You really know how to put me on the hook, don't you?
I'm putting you on the hook. And we heard that Johnny's wife makes better pizza, and we're going to ask her to do it. So, but they make great espresso. She made espresso for me when I was there. Unfortunately, we were at the house to remember a member who died and passed suddenly from a heart attack, and we're going to be fighting that issue too, because there's a lot of things that are wrong. And this show, Code Wind Talkers, is trying to acknowledge veterans through Johnny's eyes and Johnny's story. And he's that Italian-American kid. I like to look at him as like a Hercules. I was looking at a picture of him the other day. I was like, I said, oh my God, he's like Samson. And he got the hair too. He had the Samson going on. He got all these muscles. I said, me and Shior were looking at him. We said, wow, do you see the built on him? I said, well, look at him. He's like, look at that. Why didn't they call you for Superman?
Don't scare everybody. All right.
Okay. Why didn't they call you for Superman? You wouldn't have needed any padding in that suit. You had, in that one picture, he's standing there like this. And I said, that's the Superman shirt. Put it over. It's like that. When they used those actors, they had to fill that stuff with padding. They could have called Johnny as the stand-in. I'm serious. Come on, you know it's true. Don't be modest. It's okay. You're good shape. And all of that. And the thing I'm trying to point out there, and you're going to see it here in The Last Goodbye. If you look at the picture closely here, everybody, look at his build there. He's sitting, what is that, a 60 or a 50 caliber?
M60.
60.
M60. That's an M60. And he's like Rambo. You see, I could just see him out there in the jaw, with the shirt and the muscle. I could just see him going like that. Because you know why? You know why? We kid around and joke a little bit, because these men went through serious wars. And we don't want anybody to cry when they watch the show, but here's the deal. We're not going to stop you either, because these are real men who fought a real war, and some sons and daughters didn't come home. And The Last Goodbye, when you go to codemagazine.com, codemag.com, and you go to Johnny, you go to lastgoodbye.book,
Lastgoodbye-book.com.
Dashbook.com.
You'll get it.
I'll get it. The cricket will get it. The cricket will get it. Because there's just so much to talk about, and you really got to see this book. And Gene's going to tell a little bit more, and Johnny's going to tell, because we got till 2:30, so we got 12 minutes. So a little quickly about ADA. ADA is a civil rights organization that I started in 1983 because of that guy back there, Ronald Reagan. He was the president that answered me and changed my life. I got hurt. I had a disability. I couldn't join the service like I tried because I had a club foot. And now I'm a little mad because they took Gene, but they rejected me. And I got an issue with that. That is discrimination, okay? They took him, and he had a severe injury. He went from medical this big to, why didn't they do that for me? I was volunteering, okay? But they wouldn't let me serve, and they thought it was in my best interest. But I wanted to know, so that's why I started ADA, because I had an accident and hurt my spine as well. I was delivering sauce and pizza up in the Bronx, in Harlem, all around, calling out all the Italian friends with my partner who was deaf. But he was strong like Johnny. He was big like that. So me having the leg issue, I figured would be perfect. I'll do the talking and he'll do the lugging. It was a match made in heaven. So we were doing that, but I had a car accident, hurt my back, had to file for Social Security, and then as demeaning as it is, I had to file for welfare. And temporarily, like you sign it, it's not like regular welfare. I got to pay it back from my Social Security, so it was like a loan. And I didn't want welfare. That's like, I'm Italian, Puerto Rican. We don't do that. I don't want to hand out. I want to hand up. And that's why the slogan of the organization is a hand up, not a handout. So when the people that came to me, and they were challenged because Reagan got involved with me for 6 years of his administration. I had carte blanche with that White House. I got the phone call. Every cabinet member. That picture up there, that big one that you see right there, you see that big, huge one? That's Reagan's funeral. Nancy commissioned 100. That's number 20. It's marked in the corner. Okay? I made the arrangements for all disabled and veterans to go to wake, like when they wake the body in the Capitol. I made the arrangements for the disabled with Bush. That's why Bushy's picture's there. Not Daddy, 43. 41 was good to the organization. He's the one that signed the enactment of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Reagan was pushing for it. But, these things get handed off to administrations. Our lives lay in the hands of the people we elect. And I elected to go above and beyond to help those because I helped them navigate through the bureaucracy, that one man. And I cried at his funeral. I still get emotional over it because people, when he said on television, the buck stops here with me, he wasn't kidding. Every person that worked for him had a memo on their desk there to call me to find out what I need and get on it. He told them, and the woman confirmed, Charlene Cozart, I'll never forget, she says, he put an order, stay on this until it's finished and solved. So when you wonder why, if you look at the videos of his funeral, I'm the only guy standing there. It's 95 degrees. I'm wearing a black suit with the medal I have from him and Bush from the party, the Legion of Merit, which is a document over there behind me, the Legion of Merit, the highest Republican reward. I look at it as patriotism. I'm a Republican based on Lincoln, but all of these things I do are for the guys like here in The Last Goodbye. When you read the book, The Last Goodbye, and you go to Code Mag, you're going to see pictures of Johnny, and you see he played himself down, but you're going to see Hercules is there. He's there. When you pull up and you scroll down on the pictures, you're going to see him in his youth, and you're going to see him even as, like look at him now, he's like 73, and he's still a muscle guy. He's still got the muscles like that. Look at me, I'm like this little puny, like you're wet, I think. Well, now I put on 15 pounds, but Pete's over here. He's got the muscles, he's still built, he's in great shape. Because, taking care of yourself is important. And they didn't take care of our veterans. And this show is about taking care of our veterans, helping through with the advocacy and any comfort that Johnny could offer, and guests like Gene. So we got like 7 minutes left. Break it up, guys. Remember, just go to Johnny Frantangelo, the Last Goodbye-book.com, and codemag.com if you want to see more, and the video is there. The video, you're going to see an amazing video done by Dave Holbrook Holbuck. He said changed his name twice. And you go Heldenbach, Kaltenbach, and it says Kaltenbach, and we go back and forth. But it's an amazing video. Gene is going to finish telling you about Agent Orange, and remember, any veteran out there today, again, thank you for your service. You go to www.adaadvocates.com and you send us your message, or you can contact us. They're accessible. Google our names. And Johnny's name, I put it with mine. You will find us, and we will answer. And if you want to be on this show, and you got an interesting story to tell, America wants to hear. And this call, here we have.
Surprise!
Look at that. He's got a he's one of the executive producers, a long-time friend who helped with the video and the trailer, most stuff in the last and now he's going to fund the we got to do the trailer about this, and Carl is just sitting here being silent, just watching. Yes.
You look like $20 million, baby.
I wish I had that.
You look like $20 million. Wait, all right, enough. I gotta say, first of all, gentlemen, we're going into overtime. That means don't worry about it. This show is priceless. Yes, my name is Claude Van Nevius III. I am a founding partner of Cold Media Group, Inc. and Sunrise Studio. But Dan Aquino is our pitbull out of the Bronx, we like to call him. But we have John Fratangelo with the book and this amazing man, Gene Lang. And I couldn't help myself. I was reluctant to get involved today, let you guys talk, but I want to say this show today is priceless. And I can't thank all of you enough. This nation needs to recognize what each of you are individually and what you do for us as people, as individuals, as a nation. And Darren, I think next run for the presidency, I wouldn't doubt if you'll be the first one in line.
I'm staying with Johnny, and we're gonna keep doing this.
Wait, no. We're gonna go a little extra mile here. We're gonna go the extra mile because there might be part one, part two, but this is one show. But I really would I'm gonna ask politely that we have some time to John about his experiences in the jungle, like with the Agent Orange falling over him. The stories in the book, give us a piece of that. We don't want to be Rambo, but give us, the viewers are watching. Tell us the hell you were in the middle of, and a little bit about the other side with the aspirations. And back to Gene, you told us the whole history. My grandfather served in the Battle of the Bulge. He laid under 15 dead bodies for 2 days while the Germans kept coming by shooting into the dead bodies, and he laid there and ate freaking Hershey bars out of this canister for days. When we go back to World War II, my family, our families, our history, Father, God bless them both, but I'll never forget him telling me the stories of Battle of the Bulge. And I've actually made book reports on it where I had to take a shoebox and I had to make a storyboard for my 5th grade class in Beach Haven Elementary School about, that was that's the way school went back then. But he told me these stories, and he shared with me. But I want to cut it quick, and I want to listen. We have all the time in the world right now. Okay, every officer, every board member, every partner said, let them keep going. Let's get this. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and it is Veterans Day. Darren, I love you, but just take a seat back and let John, I want you to get into the down and dirty of what you went through, and Gene, some of the things you really experienced, because no one knows unless you tell us how intense it was. Not at pre-boot camp, not at running the train. Get down in the dirt for a bit, and it might make you cry, but it's necessary.
It is.
And I'm going to ask you politely and with all respect, Darren, take a seat. John, take the lead, get into the passage of the book and then let's go over to Gene. And Gene, you can reflect on his thing of your experience. And I'm going to sit here quietly in Daytona Beach and say praise be to God.
And will that be silenced right now? Will that start now?
Yeah, you met your match, brother. I love you. All right, now, all right, take two. No, we're gonna go. This show is incredible, guys. We're all watching, and it's outstanding. And this is not a CNN, not a Fox News, not a this, not a that. This is for real, and it's not a day. My fingers are. I got fire going into my fingernails in passion and adoration that God, thank you that we're able to even do this. So I'm going to say, Darren, you and I,
now that you did the nice intro, let me just mention the book again. It's the book, mention everybody who we are. Because, okay.
No, you got to, it's code NYC Mag.
I said that.
No,
this is Gold Win.
We're talking or over talking. It's codenyscmag.com or sunrise-88.com, where all this is available, and we are broadcasting live on Triplevibes.com. Now, Darren, you and I are going to sit back, and John, take us to a moment where you're in the mix with the Agent Orange and both flying. I'm sorry, it's not a Rambo story, but give us the real, give us the moment. And then we're going to go back to Gene, and Gene, we're going to flash forward to you and your experience, and so whatever you want to tell us. Go for it.
Gene,
Okay, Johnny.
if he wants to get to the Agent Orange, I didn't experience it that I remember of, but you do. So if you want to get to the Agent Orange, I want Gene to tell that.
Tell us the story, John. Tell us your story in the mix of the jungle.
Okay,
Tell
all
us,
right.
blow fire. Can you not hear me?
You're breaking up, but I'll tell you.
Tell us a story, your story in the midst of fire.
Okay, all right. Well, I'd like to tell the story how when you first learn about death. My first dead GI. I've told this, but are we live? Okay.
Go for it.
Okay. When we're drafted, we don't know anything about anything. Okay. We don't know what's going on over there. And all they told us to do, and Gene will tell you, he'll verify this, in Fort Jackson, South Carolina, on Tank Hill, was to kill. Period. They were teaching us to kill. Okay? Something that we never even thought about as growing up kids. Okay? Now, we get over there, I'm going to go right to the part where I experienced my first dead GI. Okay? The night of June 11th, 1967, we were going to start a new operation on June 12th, the very next day, called Operation Billings. Okay? I was in the barracks. I was alone because everybody was in town, and they were celebrating the other machine gunner, whose name was Ronald Elza. Okay? I was riding the bump, and he came into the barracks after coming back from town, and he was two sheets to the wind. Okay? Big guy, glasses, had a book in his hand, come over to me. I was sitting up. I put my pen and paper down and said, "What's up, Ronnie?" You know? Now, he taught me everything I know about the machine gun. Okay? He said, sat down, the bunk next to mine, we were facing each other, and he said, "John," he said, "I want to show you something. I just got engaged." And he showed me the pictures of engagement, because he knew I had just gotten married during basic training leave, on Christmas leave. So he related to me. Okay? So we're talking, he's laughing, he's giggling, he's showing me. He finally gets to the last page, he closes the book. Meanwhile, the B-52s, you can hear them in the distance bombing like machine guns. Okay, that's how many bombs. They go, and it sounds like machine guns. Okay, all night long. Because they were clearing the LZ for us to land the next day. And being the recon platoon, we have to go first, secure the LZ. So to make it a little short, the next day comes, we all load up on deuce and a halves, and they take us up to the chopper pad. Now the choppers are lined up probably half a mile almost, like choppers. So we get on the first five because we recon. Okay, we go down there, so we're flying over there. We didn't know what to expect. This is my first experience in hitting an LZ, which is a landing zone for people who don't really know what it is. So now, as we're on our way there, I'm being a machine gunner. I'm sitting on the ground on the floor. 4 guys behind me on the bench and 2 other guys to my right, and I'm on the left side. My legs hanging out, my machine gun's hanging out. So we're on our way there. Meanwhile, I'm saying the rosary, okay? So that was a habit of mine to say the rosary. So now, just before we landed, the 2 chopper gunners opened fire. Okay? I thought we were getting incoming, so I picked my leg out and I ready to start shooting back, and it scared the hell out of us because we didn't know. You know? All they were doing was putting out a grazing fire for us to help protect us from land, to give us cover. Okay? So we landed, and being that the bombs were dropping all night long, it was raining, it was mud. So we jumped off the chopper, and we hit the mud, went up to our shins. And now you're running to the wood line, hoping, praying that it's not a hot LZ, but it's enemy inhabited, right? We would be sitting ducks, okay? So now you got your full packing gear on, and the trees are down, so you got to climb over the tree, climb between, sucking, your feet are getting sucked out of the mud, okay? And you're exhausted by the time you get there. You wonder, how long am I going to get to this wood line, to the trees, you know what I mean? So luckily it wasn't a hot LZ. We landed, right? We secure the LZ for the incoming battalions now. So they come in, it's all secure. So they came in lackadaisical with rifles on their shoulders, gathering like a church social, and they could just walk in because it's secure. So after they got secure, they had to start digging in. We're still out there protecting it, and we had our breakfast. And I'd say about 2 hours goes by. It's probably getting to be about 10 o'clock now. We heard automatic weapons fire. So now, platoon sergeant was running over. He said, "Pizza, come to me. Hurry up. We got one of our men is hit." We didn't know who it was. So we're running through the water with machete, chopping our way through, getting to where this guy was hit. When I get there, I had my ammo barrel with me, and we're looking into the jungle. You really can't see good because it's very thick. And I see the medic working on one of the soldiers. Okay, I didn't know who it was. So then this friend of ours, one of my platoon members, Baker, his name was Baker, I seen him lift him up on his shoulder, and he's carrying him, and he's coming towards me, and put him down. Ronnie was a big guy, and So I said to my other son, the other platoon, with Ronnie's platoon sergeant, Dutch. I said, Dutch, you want me to carry him? So he said, you think you can? I said, yeah, of course I could carry him. No. So I gave my gun to my ammo bearer, and I put him on my shoulder. Now I was being very careful because I didn't know he was dead. Okay, so I'm carrying him out, and my ammo bearer's next to me, help keep him balanced on my shoulder. And walk. I must have went about maybe 50 yards or something, 75 yards, and he started slipping off my shoulder. So I said, David C, I said, David and Eddie, my ammo bearers, I said, I got to put him down. He's slipping off. So I put him down. I was being very careful because I didn't want to hurt him more, right? So when I went down, he laid back, his arms went over his head, and his head rolled back, and his eyes were rolled back. And I looked at him, and he had a hole in his chest that I could put my fist in. And I said, he's dead. So Dutch says, I know he's dead. I know he's dead. And I didn't know it, okay? And so now we had to clear a dust-off area for the chopper to come and get him. So we had to make a makeshift stretcher of our ponchos, and we carried him, and we chopped an LZ. And we put him on the chopper, and the guy said on the chopper, is he dead? He said, yeah. So he said, okay, So he closed the door, and I'm hearing so that. And I had stain of his blood and pieces of skin on my shoulder for 3 days because we didn't get changed for the pigs, so they flew them out to us every 3 days if we were lucky. And that was my first experience of a dead GI. Okay, and that was the first day of my operation. So I broke in really fast of what war is really about. And it was no game. I knew it right then. It was no game. This is the real thing, man. This is the real thing. And you can be. But just the night before, we were laughing together and talking about his engagement, and he's gone overnight. He's gone, man, forever. You know what I mean? And I'll never forget that. You never forget your first dead GI. Right?
How old was he?
I didn't hear you.
How old was he?
He just turned 20. He was celebrating his 20th birthday. It was actually his birthday was May 27th, like a week before, but they were celebrating it that weekend. All the guys were out. But I just happened, because I never liked to go to bars and drink. That wasn't my thing. So I just stayed back. But he came in to talk to me, and I'll never forget that. You don't forget your first, right, Gene? You don't forget your first experience of a dead GI, Well,
God bless him. What is his name?
Ronald Elza.
God bless him. He's in heaven now. Praise God.
And we're remembering him on this Veterans Day.
Let's recognize our man right now and all the rest. And now, Gene, are you ready?
We got a little background noise here that's coming up. It's interfering.
Gene?
Yeah.
Give us one of your moments in the midst of fire.
I've been in hundreds of fire.
Well, non-specifically.
The big first one was up around Quezon. I remember it was so dark out, you couldn't even see your hands in front of your face. And it was a ground attack. That's what I mentioned before with the Chinese. So I thought, the dead bodies that they left behind were Chinese. And people said, no, I'm mistaken. A fellow who spoke better English than I did. That was my first major rifles. I combined when we went to Vietnam, I was in the mortar platoon. Mortar platoon, 3 HE rounds, 40 long. What I would do is I carry it, nighttime, and I dig in with it. That was my first major fight. And from there, it just went on.
How many gunfights?
I'm sorry?
How many gunfights did you have? You were at risk.
Quite a few, close to 100 firefights. And when we went to Dong Ha, we were right above Dong Ha in sand on the TMZ. And just so happened, that's where they were bringing in VA through. And the first fight we had, there was at least 100 bodies in front of us. And it smelled so bad that after all, they finally let us move,
They were our bodies? Were those our bodies, our men?
Oh, no, they're theirs, and we were lucky. We didn't lose anybody at that time. We have lost people. I've watched people die. It's not a pleasant experience. It's not something I want to really talk about, but I've been in a lot of firefights, and it's not something good. And from Don Ha, like I said, it was so bad that at one point we put up the inches. I would be here, and another would be over here. And whoever had the people coming through, they would open up on him. But sometimes what we would do is we sit at the bottom of our foxholes with our bayonets, but you couldn't look up. They were finding the machine gun in order to get the NBA. And there, it was not good. Like I said, nothing was walking through dead bodies. You got 100 of dead bodies all around you. And at that point, we were lucky we didn't lose anybody, but they lost a lot.
What was your gun battle like? The one where you had the shrapnel that you showed us?
Well, the shrapnel, that thing was in Quezon area.
Yeah, but what was that? How did you engage that battle? I mean, like, you know,
That was only coming artillery.
you were just like moving it and
They never,
took fire?
I was crawling on my stomach because they kept the artillery rounds were coming in and they were blowing up all around us. And what happened was, I looked at my pants after that, and the shrapnel came in from the bottom of my pants. It landed right below my, and
So
around
you
my
were
neck.
crawling on the ground when you got took fire. You were ducking the gunfire, but it still hit you.
Right, it hit me. Well, when you have, actually, about 4 rounds went off around me. I was very lucky. That's all I got was a chunk of shrapnel.
Oh,
And I was crawling, and like I said, I went to my buddy, and he was in a hole, and I said, hey, I think I'm hit. And he looked at my pants, the top portion, that was all bloody. The bottom of the pants had a hole in it. That's where the shrapnel went up.
wow. How many guys were you in that group while you were crawling on the floor there?
I was alone.
You was alone?
Yeah, keep in mind, I was on top of it, and they wanted me in the 81 Gun Crew. Needless to say, I never did make it to the 81 Gun Crew because I was crawling on my stomach. And I was hit, and a guy carried me down the hill. They put me on a helicopter, and they flew me to Doncaster. And over there, that's where the how well could you take pain? When
And
he's
that's where they
there,
want to send you back into battle and just patch you up.
back in the battle, same day. Well, the company left because he shut down the area of Quezon.
But the interesting thing that you said at the beginning of this is that, and this is, you know, because I told you I wanted to go in, but I couldn't go. The interesting thing is you had surgical procedures that limited you, but they took you anyway, and you went off to go be a war hero, and you had a physical that you were supposed to be 4F, right? You were clinically, militarily 4F, but they took you anyway, and then you wind up being a war hero.
Right. Well, what happened was, when I went to work for the phone company first, okay, they did a medical examination. Okay, they said, you'll never be drafted. That's why they hired me. But needless to say, the draft board didn't feel the same. Maybe it was my
Obviously.
Yeah, when I was in Fort Jackson, the fellow there, he was born with a defective form. That was on his crutches all his life.
Yeah.
Bodies. That was Fort Jackson.
Wow. And I tried to get in. I told you, I had that little deformity. I said, but I could shoot. I'm good. I'm good. I'm a marksman. I could do this at 17. I said, this works. This works. So it's interesting to hear that because I tried to go in at 17. Of course, Vietnam was over, but because there were so many things to the military that I wanted to experience. Because 7 generations of my family served, so like my cousin went. Me too. I want to go, and because I had the club foot, it was a no-go. But it was straightened. It was just a little limp. I had the limp. I could shoot. I could limp. So what? I'll wear boots. We'll put a little stuff in the shoe, and I'll go in and fight. I could fight. Trust me, I'm good.
Wait, Darren. We know you can fight. Wait, let me do a little. I have to intercede here. I have to because the way this all came to me via Darren and John and the book and where we are now, acknowledging David Koldenbach, who took it and made a short film. I have to say, I was born in 1965, and my mother was still in high school in Jersey, and had me, she walked high school in that time period, impregnated with me. Oh my God! And my father was a year ahead of her out, and they did the walk to stand by me, to give life to me. And they had many options. And then that time in New Jersey, in the suburbs, that was a faux pas. That did not happen. They went to hell to have me. But that said, my father had that card handed to him that you, John, and Gene were handed, but the only reason he did not go is because my mother, God bless her soul, died in a horrific car accident on her way to New York City when I was only a year old. That's just, she worked with Andy Warhol and all of that. She was a top model in NYC at that time, and that's very precious to me. But the only reason he did not go, and he was given it to him, is because she had passed away and he was the remaining only parent. But to this day, my father, God bless him, Cole Van Nevius, he passed away 3 years ago on October 12th, and he, but his entire life, every one of his friends, buddies, that they went and they came, who did not come home, but who did come home, I grew up with you guys as my peers, my father's friends. Harley Davidson's came back to America in a way, and that I will to this day say and go, you need to be represented and recognized far beyond what you did and what you have done, and it needs to be known, because it's so important to me as my father looking down on me, but as to having these gentlemen, Darren and John, entrusting me to take this, not me, but Code Media Group and Sunrise, to bring this tuition to where we are at this moment on Triplevibes, and with the film, and this and that. And I have to say, I have glasses on because I don't want, I'm crying behind these little dark glasses here. I love you we love you. And please, I hope the rest of the world will snap out of it and recognize what you went through, what you did for all of us. And I'm just a puppy. Darren's the big dog on the porch, the Bronx pit bull. You guys are wearing the armor, the shields, the badges, that what you served for all of us. And I'm going to sit back now and just say thank you. God bless you. Now, Darren, take the lead and do a wrap up. Everyone have a little something to say, and I'm just going to sit here and be quiet.
Are you sure?
One more thing before. Wait, Columbo.
I told you. Did I tell you, Chuck? I told you. He's not finished when he's finished.
Remember Columbo? Hey, just one more thing before I go.
Okay.
Favorite line, and the other one is Kojak.
Okay.
Hey, wait.
Baby.
No, he goes, you're beautiful, baby.
No.
Don't touch a thing.
The lollipop. I watched Kojak film around the city, and do you know, we were kids, we were 13, 14. He had 100 bag lollipop in the trailer. And he come out, and I met him one night when I was older, going out like.
Terry Savalas, by the way, people, if you don't know.
He was good friends with Paul Anka, and my father was friends with Paul Anka. And I said, Telly, I was talking to him because at this time we were at. There was one of the clubs. One of these football players owned it. It was on 62nd Street. I forget the name of it. Tittle Tattle. And I was there, and I was like 19, 20. I was 20. No, I wasn't married yet. I was 19. And he comes in, and I grab him because they were out clubbing. He was a little half bag, and I stopped him. I was reminding him about filming the episode. And I said, this would be great. You know, I never got a picture. And all the times I want to, let's take him and Paul Anka grab me. And I said a couple of words to Paul Anka that he knew my father through that because he used to do stuff in town.
Wait. Does anyone know that Paul Anka wrote almost all, look, you're eating pizza on freaking camera. Paul Anka wrote all of the songs. Right. The best song, Paul Anka is like the gem, Superman. Back up. Go ahead.
So, needless to say, they both grabbed me in the picture, and my brother-in-law's brother was there, so I knew the guy in the club. Back then, you know, they charge it, not me. I was free everywhere I went. So we went into the club, but needless to say, we're outside. I get a picture of my brother-in-law. He's with the kid. They're all excited. When it gets to me, and Paul Anka and him got me, no film left. How about that? The greatest picture, no film left.
Well, now you're having your revenge.
Anyway, and then it went like this. And I told Telly like this. I went, who loves you, baby? That was his famous line. Who loves you, baby?
So you know, you're beautiful, baby. Don't change a thing. Don't change a thing.
After he had a challenge with somebody, that was like Levis said, you know, who loves you, baby? That was his word. Trust me. I didn't realize that I was that much older than you, Carl. I got 6 years on you. But needless to say, let's get to the heart of this rap here. Today was all about veterans. As you can see, Johnny Fratangelo, Johnny Pizza, and Darren Lee called, and we got to meet Gene Lang and hear some of his issues and stories of his heroism and his service to country. And remember, every veteran, whether they see conflict or not, and a lot of veterans today enlisted, especially after 9/11. Just because they didn't see battle, remember this, they were ready for it. And they went in knowing that that call comes, they're good to go. So to every veteran, don't feel bad if you didn't be in combat. Feel good because you stood up for this country. And I always get emotional for our veterans. and those that perished, and friends, the kids I grew up with, and their brothers, and Johnny's amazing story in The Last Goodbye. And you're going to see and you're going to see the trail, and you're going to go where Carl said to go to codemag.com and
NYCmag.com.
NYCmag.com, and you're going to go where Johnny said. And my job here is the cricket, is to bring to
Cricket.
what he's going to send you. I am the advocate for disabled veterans and disabled Americans nationwide, and that has been a privilege and a pleasure to support our veterans, our first responders, and being a 9/11 survivor. I had COVID. I had the underlying COPD from the fumes from 9/11. There were veterans there that went down. When New York was in crisis, New Yorkers stepped up. But the thing
That's right.
about New York is everybody in this country, and even those out of this country, want to know what New York's about. Okay, when you come from the Bronx, if you come from East Harlem, if you come from Staten Island, if you come from the Forgotten Borough, Queens, okay?
Brooklyn.
Okay, let me just say this. Everybody, everywhere, gives respect to New York. Let us never, ever forget when they attacked us on our soil. They did it first in '93. We have homegrown terrorism here, and we got soldiers all over everything. We got it. It's a reality. And the reality is this. On this Veterans Day, we're supposed to every single veteran. And later, I'm taking Uncle Fernando, okay? And he's gonna go get his free, his honorable lunch or dinner, because they offered it. He deserves it, as all of our veterans do. So today, this is your day. This show is about you, all of you, nationwide, around this country. And Johnny Frantangelo's story about The Last Goodbye is one in, I know there's millions of stories, but here you're going to hear about family. You're going to see it, you're going to watch the video, and soon you're going to see the mini-series, The Last Goodbye. And we're putting
the film. So wait, I love you.
Oh, you want to cut me off?
We got it.
The chief.
I got it.
Chief. Get that in. The chief.
You're the chief. You're the master.
Finally said
Let's give a list. A moment of life to John Frantangelo.
Frantangelo. It's not Fran, it's Frantangelo.
Orange. Wait. Let's start. Let's go back. Gene, why don't you give us your blessing, and then we'll go to John Frantangelo. Gene, it's your time to say goodbye.
Okay. I'd like to thank you for having me on the show. It's been a pleasure. If anybody who's watching this, if you see a veteran on the road or anywhere, tell them thank you. You see a Vietnam veteran, tell them welcome home.
Amen.
That's right.
Amen. People spit on us. So
That's
thank you.
Amen. God bless you.
Thank you for your service, man.
Absolutely. Now wait, John, is it Frantangelo or Frantangelo?
Fratangelo. No N. No, not Fran. It's Fratangelo.
France.
No, did you not hear?
It means brother of the angels. Italian. Okay.
He's an angel. I know that. Frantangelo. Did I get it right?
Fratangelo, right.
Frantangelo. John Frantangelo.
Right.
I'm sorry. I got my own issues.
That's okay.
John,
Talk. Thank you.
John, sign it off. John, give us your blessing, baby.
Yes, I'd like to thank Gene for coming on, Gene. I really appreciate you being in and telling you a great story. And I told you, finish the book, man. I'm telling you, you got a great tale to tell. Okay, people want to. Go do it. I'll read it. Okay.
Well, part two, we have to read the sequel, okay?
Right. Thank you, Darren and Carl and David for making the documentary. And I want to thank every veteran out there, men and women, for what you did for this country. You will never ever be forgotten, and we're going to make sure that you're not forgotten. Okay. And I know when people come up to you and say thank you for your service, it's only that's a very nice thing for them to do, but they don't know when they shake your hand and do that. They don't know what you went through to give them that service. And that's what we want them to find out. That's why I want you guys to come on here everywhere you go to tell your story, okay? Make sure you tell your story so people, when they do walk up to you, it's not going to be to say, thank you for your service. They're going to say, thank you for your service, man. Unbelievable, okay? God bless every one of you, and I'll see you next time.
Amen. Hey, Darren, I love you. Can you send me one of those pizzas? Can you send me send us a pizza?
Let me do it.
Hey, this guy's eating.
I know.
I didn't even take a drink of water in all this 2 hours.
I'm ready to go make meatballs.
I got meatballs. I made those the other day for my uncle.
What? The nerve of this guy, right, Gene?
Nerve.
Next show, John's wife is going to make pizza. I'm coming up the first week in New York, and I was invited waffles. I'm getting waffles. Okay. I'm going to yell discrimination if I don't get waffles.
All right, listen, wait, special thanks to Triplevibes.
Right, thank you, Sean.
And Sean Samuel, executive producer.
Sean and Triplevibes. This
He
was
gave us an extra hour. Like, look, we have a part one, part two, and let me tell you something. He's watching me. I got another picture where he's looking at me, I'm looking at him. That said, praise be to God. Thank you, Sean, everyone at Triplevibes. You have been a, Code Media Group has endorsed everything you've ever done, and you've endorsed everything we've ever done, and we're so blessed to be part of you. Amen. So praise be to God, Father God Almighty, Jesus Christ. Thank you. Keep us in your arms of safety, and may we always walk in confidence. And Darren Aquino is the leader of the ship of this program. Amen.
Thank you.
John, thank you, buddy. God bless.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, bro.
Sean. All right. Gene, God bless. I'm out.
Thank God.
Jen, something else you want to say?